Šodien Saeimas sēdē deputātus uzrunās Eiropas Parlamentārās asamblejas prezidents Teodors Rusopulu. Kopā ar vairāk nekā 30 Eiropas valstu parlamentāriešiem Rīgā šajās dienās notiks asamblejas monitoringa komitejas sanāksme.
Komitejas darba kārtībā būs tādi jautājumi, kā piemēram situācijas izvērtēšana Gruzijā, Ungārijā, Turcijā, Moldovā un citviet. Ņemot vērā demokrātijas krīzi vairākās valstīs un potenciālos draudus, parlamentārieši apspriedīs jautājumu par rīcības mehānismu stiprināšanu, lai efektīvāk novērstu potenciālos konfliktus vai riskus demokrātijai.
Un šajā rītā Eiropas Padomes Parlamentārās asamblejas prezidents Teodors Rusopulu ir mūsu studijā. Good morning.
Good morning.
Labrīt, Danuta. Labrīt, Sigurd. Good morning.
Labrīt.
Kalimera. You know, since I've seen that you have this nice news about the marathon,
Yeah.
I remember that marathon is one of the most important cities in the world because it comes from, it's out of Athens.
Yeah.
And the story of the first marathon was very impressive.
Yeah,
You want me to
started
tell you?
Maybe another time.
Maybe another time.
Okay,
But-
okay.
Or
Thank you
after
very
this
much.
interview.
Thank you very much for joining us today on
Thank
this
you for
television.
having me here.
Yeah, we just mentioned for our viewers that the deputies from Europe will discuss the issues of what to do better and more precisely prevent potential conflicts or risks to democracy. What would you say? What is the threat to democratic processes in the current geopolitical situation?
Okay, let me first say that the Council of Europe is celebrating the 76th anniversary of existence and the 75th anniversary of the Human Rights Convention, which is one of the most important constitutions in Europe that connects all of us. What are we doing there? What was the purpose of those who were the founding fathers of the Council of Europe? To prevent from wars, to prevent from conflicts, and to actually implement democracy, human rights, and the rule of law in Europe. So now we are 46 member states. We are 47, but after the war of aggression, we excluded Russia. We are 46 member states, and we try to do what you have just asked me. We try to help people to improve their lives, in their everyday lives, the democracy to be improved, and the dangers of democracy today are not the dangers that we knew in the past. Now we have, for example, the foreign interference. How can you understand that there's foreign interferences in a country? It is very difficult, especially because of the social media, which in my opinion is not social media. Media is what you're doing here. You're a journalist, you have to double check your sources, etc. So interference in ways that are not known now, and especially after the AI in our life, is one of the most important things. Let me add one more phrase about AI. We are the first organization globally that we have written, implemented, discussed, and ratified and voted last year a convention, the first global convention about AI and dangers of democracy. This convention, among others, actually asked from the member states of the Council of Europe and those who have ratified, USA, for example, is one among them that had signed for the convention, to create a mechanism which will follow everyday news, everyday difficulties in democracy. And then we can work together and make young generation much better, much more well-informed and much more educated, what we call media literacy, so they can understand what is fake and what is not.
Well, yeah, as you said, we are real media, and we can't say the same about the social media, but not everyone understands that. But if we are talking about risks to democracy, let's talk about some examples. What is your opinion on what happened several months ago, for example, in Georgia and Moldova, where presidential elections were held? What risks should you highlight in these countries?
Different cases. In Moldova, for example, we had the foreign interference, which I mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. It is obvious that something like this happened in Romania as well. In Romania, we had the decision of the Supreme Court, the Constitutional Court, to annul the elections, and it is something that is happening very rare. In Georgia, the problem is that the elections, as we have observed with our observers, went to a decision of the people which was accepted, of course, by the government, but not by the opposition parties. And the opposition parties, with people who were supporting them, were every day protesting on the roads. It is something that we work on, and we have asked the Georgian government to make some improvements in democracy, You know that they have banned some of actions which are accepted in all European countries. For example, they have implemented laws about foreign money and NGOs. In our opinion, they worked against NGOs. They didn't want NGOs to work as they do in Georgia because they believe that this is foreign interference. In our opinion, if you have like 7,000 NGOs, you cannot talk about foreign interference. If you had like 3 or 4, yes, it is obvious that there is something behind. There is money, there are maybe some interest of people who are involved in business. But in Georgia, it was a different case than Moldova or than Romania. These cases are being observed by us. It is not always easy because, for example, though we have ratified the credentials of the Georgian delegation in our assembly, you know, the assembly in the Council of Europe has 612 parliamentarians who are elected in their national parliaments, and every national parliament, according to the population of the country, is sending a number of parliamentarians. The highest is 18 plus 18 substitutes, and the smallest is 7 plus 7. So when these parliamentarians are working in the assembly or observing elections, as I said earlier, or work with those who are monitoring a country and the procedures of democracy, they are reporting to us, and then we take decisions. The decision taken about Georgia was that we want your parliamentarians to be in our assembly, but you need to make some improvements. There were some proposals to the Georgian government. The Georgian government didn't like it, and they said that we're going to leave from the assembly. Last year, we had even more important and more difficult problems with Azerbaijan. Azerbaijan, for example, has a president, Mr. Aliyev, who is there elected and re-elected for like 25 years, after his father, who was elected and re-elected, etc., etc. So we all understand what is happening, speaking about democratic procedures. The question could be, why do you accept countries like these who are not already mature democracies? Because we work like the entrance to the European Union. We are there as a whole who is producing democratic procedures, who is educating actually the country so that they can, if they want, to make the first step towards the European family.
We just spoke, of course, about the elections of in Georgia and Moldova. Maybe you know that also there will be the local elections very soon in Latvia.
Yes.
On the 7th of June.
Yes, I know.
The local elections will be held, and of course that is the question we know. We are just near the Russia also, and what could be the main risks for elections here in Latvia?
As far as local election is concerned, I want to tell you that we have simultaneously working with us the Congress of Local Authorities. So the Congress of Local Authorities, which is consisted by mayors or people who are working or who have been elected in local authorities, has a mechanism like the one we have in the Assembly. They have a mechanism of observing local elections. So as far as your country is concerned, your country is a mature democracy. You have been members of our Assembly and of our organization, the Council of Europe, for 30 years now. This year we celebrate the 30th anniversary. And we had a very interesting discussion with colleagues of mine from your country. Zanta Kalina Lukashevich is the head of your delegation in the Council of Europe. She's doing with other colleagues an excellent job, and they do represent your country the best way they can. And they do it because you are a progressive country who is in the middle of the European civilization, and this work is exceptional, and it could be a role model for other countries who had entered the Council of Europe just for decades now, since the fall of the wall of Berlin, since the world have been changing. The world is still been changing in a way that we don't like always. We have seen that the new administration in the United States is supporting ideas which are not according to the ideals of democracy, because if you support someone who is in power because of a lot of money or ammunition, then you cannot say that you are serving democracy the way that everybody would like to. But these are problems that we discuss, and we try to find some solutions. As far as your country is concerned, I just want to congratulate the authorities, all the parliamentarians participating in our assembly from all parties, that they are doing an excellent job for Latvia.
Yeah, but still, even in countries where democracy is very strong, as you say,
Yes.
there's still a question of information warfare. How would you say, what is the best strategy to protect ourselves from it?
The best strategy is given by the simplest answer, education. This is the most important. You know it very well. You know it, that if you have been educated, and education, I don't mean let us go to universities and have PhDs or masters, or it is equally important, but we have to educate our people, we have to educate ourselves, we have to be well informed. And one can ask, how can be well informed when in the era of fake news? This is not as difficult as it looks. Believe me, I have been around for like 40-something years, 44 years. I was a journalist, I'm a politician, I'm a professor of communication. I believe that those who are interested, they learn. Today, we have a lot of sources. Of course, this might be confusing. You know, there was this dispute between George Orwell, who wrote the famous 1984, and Aldous Huxley. I always say this example. Orwell said that in the future that there will be only one source and nobody will know the truth. And Aldous Huxley on the other side said, no, in the future there will be a lot of sources, and so we will not understand what is fake and what is not. We are there now. We have a lot of sources. How can we understand fake or non-fake news? Let us spend some time in our daily program to read more than one from the one source, and then we will understand very easily what is reality and what is fake.
But these threats, for example, and this information warfare, it means that in the future, these threats will obviously grow up or change or transform?
For sure they do, for sure. Do you remember this nice experiment that Mr. Obama had accepted to participate some years ago? It was the first year of AI. There was this example, which is, in my opinion, is very interesting. He had accepted to give an interview of 1 or 2 minutes. And then he was waiting in the studio, and AI changed totally what he has said. And it was exactly the opposite. So this is something very difficult. How can we understand what is, as I said, created by AI and what is not? The most educated, the most well-informed we are, the better we go. Those who count on people who are uneducated, in the meaning that I have said, are the populists who want to prevail because they have easy solutions, because they say big, nice wordings, but actually they cannot deliver at last. This is what we have to be aware. Populism was always around. It's not something new in our societies. It was around since the ancient Athenian democracy 25 centuries ago. We have to work with ourselves, and we have to work with the people who are young to make them understand that as better they are informed, the better they are informed, the better they go in their lives.
As you said, those who are interested will learn, so our duty is to make them interested.
Yes. Yes, this is a very heavy burden, a very, very heavy duty that you have. As I said, I have been working as a journalist for 20 years. I know what does it mean to work hard and to provide the news to the people the most appropriate way. If a journalist is taking a political place, let's talk about the example of those who are journalists and are at the same time in political parties. In my opinion, this is not the right approach. When I left journalism and I entered politics, I said I will never go back. How can I go back now? Now I belong to a party, to the EPP, European People's Party. I have my ideology, which is there. Everybody knows what my ideology is. I support all ideas of my party. How can I go back and make interviews, ask interviews, and be as neutral?
Biased.
Yes, this is one of the biggest problems that the people have to face, and they usually accuse journalism of that. So we journalists, you journalists, I'm not anymore. We politicians have to persuade the people that we are in this job as professionals, doing the job professionally, but actually with a purpose which is more noble, to make people understand better what is happening in their lives and to improve democracy.
We are starting to run out of the time because you have a long day and very important day today here in Latvia. So the last question is about that day. A meeting of monitoring committee of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe will be held today and a couple of more days in Riga. What will be the main benefit of this meeting, if you could tell us in a couple of words?
Monitoring means that we are there to observe if democracy is functioning well. Democracy, as I said, is old but not old-fashioned. This is very important as a message, in my opinion. Democracy is like a bicycle. You have to bike, otherwise you fall down.
It's a nice way to put it.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much.
And have a successful, of course, meeting here in Riga. And thank you very much for joining us.
Have a nice day. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.